what things can you do differently offensively based off what Jake brings to the table as opposed to where you were at last year?
Well, we don't need to get into a situation of comparing and all that kind of stuff, but I'll tell you that I expect from Jake to be an efficient passer. I expect him to have good production. I expect Jake to run our team in an efficient manner. And this is speaking directly to Jake and what we think Jake can do. And I think our pass game will be improved from what it was last year. It needs to be, and that's a big focus for us here. So we have an opportunity to set up the run because we proved that we can run the ball, and we need to get the pass game going a little bit. So I expected Jake to be an efficient, productive quarterback, and it's the expectation that I would have for any quarterback, whether it was Dane last year or Jake this year, and that doesn't change. We want Jake to be an efficient, productive quarterback.
What are some of the things that Jake can do, maybe that give you guys some versatility in this offense?
Well, we want to have the ability to drop back and pass. We want to have the ability to run the quarterback around a little bit and move him around, and Jake allows us to do that. He's, by no stretch is Jake a running quarterback, but he can move. He is pretty nifty with his feet and can move around. So we can do some different things with Jake, and it's still the framework of our offense, but it's expanding as much as we can to put ourselves in a position to score touchdowns.
How about having some of these new pieces that he gets to work with, like Tony Pearson as a wide receiver, Justin McKay as one of those kind of big play wide receivers? How much does that help Jake in his development?
Well, it helps Jake a lot. He spent a year last year with Justin throwing and on the show team and really got a good feel for Justin, and he's had a great summer working with the guys and throwing with the guys on their own. So I think he feels really comfortable with the guys he's throwing to. And as we've gotten out there for the first couple of days of practice, you can see where there's some relationships that have been built, and you can see the way that the passing game could flourish because of the hard work these guys have put in.
What about some of those younger guys? Obviously, Michael's coming back, but then you have Darling and Kozart. How are those guys developing? I know it's been a couple of days with some of those young guys.
It's been a short time. Michael, we know we've seen Michael on the field, and really wanted to see Mike become a more consistent quarterback, and he has. Here in the first two practices, he's shown that he's had a couple of good practices. We feel good about the way Mike has approached it, and the way the first two practices have looked. The two young guys, the game happened pretty fast for them here in the first couple of days of practice, and the ball snapped, and there's guys flying around, and a lot happening to them in a short amount of time, and learning the offense. But you see flashes physically, you see flashes from them doing some good things. Mentally, you see flashes of them doing some good things. They're not quite overwhelmed yet, but they're starting to catch up, and so I look forward to see the competition between those two young guys, and as they try to gain knowledge of the offense and push Mike, and Mike continues to grow and push Jake, and we have healthy competition at the quarterback position.
Last year was a bit of a struggle as far as the receivers went. What are you seeing this year that's different between this receiving group, that maybe some things that they do better this year that maybe...
Well, as we do, we are more familiar with what we're doing, at least the returning players are. Much more familiar with our system, our terminology, our offense, our expectations. So, although we still have to obviously go through what we're doing, we can now move a little bit more with the returning players to how do we do it better. And I think that'll help us quite a bit. They've had a great summer throwing and catching. All indications are Jake's taking a great leadership role with them, so I think that ought to help us quite a bit. And then integrating the new players into our mix. Some of our returning older players have done a very good job of trying to bring them along and help them on the field in the meetings, and to have a good camaraderie with the receiver group. It's very competitive, but it's very healthy, and I expect it to be very positive.
Looking at all the receivers, especially at the top of the depth chart, it really seems like every one of those guys brings a certain different element to the table that the other one doesn't. I mean, would you say that's fair, that looking at Justin and Trey and all those guys?
Each guys have some different traits to them, some characteristics to them that maybe some of the other guys don't. I think that makes it fun for an offense, because you have guys that have different skill sets, and so you can maybe mix and match some things as you go through that. But we're just trying to be good as a group, a good fundamental receiver group. Be good route runners, be physical players out there. If we can be physical players, play with a certain toughness to us, and embrace the fundamentals of playing the position, I think we'll end up really helping our football team.
When you're going into the recruiting process, is that something you guys try to do? Try to find versatility and guys that do different things, or you just try to pinpoint talent and then just bring them in and adjust
Well,
what
you're
you have?
looking for talent. Obviously, the more versatile a guy is, the more things he could do if he's in your program. That's higher his value. And so when you go about recruiting somebody, you're looking for with the higher value, the better. When you have them on your team, it's your job as an offensive coaching staff to use your players to the best of their abilities and put them in the best places to be successful. And I'm confident that offensively we'll be able to do that.
How much are you working with Tony Pearson right now? Is he with you guys most of the time with the receivers, or you just kind of bounce back and forth?
He spends part of the time with Coach Mitchell, part of times with the receivers. Really, Reggie directs him, and Charlie Jr. has been a great resource for him as he's moving maybe between a couple of things. Charlie's been a great resource for Tony, get pointed in the right direction. So.
What about Justin? You know, we talked to Coach Weiss about that in his press conference the other day, and he pointed out, hey, this is one of the top recruits in the country when he's coming out of high school. Are you seeing some of those talents coming through right now?
Justin's really come out since he's been here. I think when he came here and maybe the disappointment of not being able to be eligible, he worked through that, did a great job in the off season. And had a good spring practice, and all indications are he had a good summer, and anxious for him to improve, and Justin's anxious to improve, and Justin's anxious to get on the field and play. It's been a little bit since Justin has played in the game, and he's very eager to do that, and to do it at a high level. So he's just going to continue to work. He has been a good worker, and he'll continue to be a good worker as he works on his skills.
What about leaders of your group? Who's kind of emerging as one of those leaders?
I'd say the main leader in our group is Christian. Christian's been here quite some time. He's played quarterback. He's contributed at quarterback more so than he has at receiver for meaningful snaps. But he has some of those leadership traits that sometimes the quarterback has in him. He's well respected by his teammates. He's well respected by the coaches. And so I'd say clearly Christian, I would say, is the guy that's emerged as a leader of our group.
Coach Weiss said in the press conference the other day, that all the coaches needed to do a better job, except for Coach Mitchell. What do you think when you hear something like that? Does that mean anything to you at all?
You know what? It's heck, I don't know what to think about that. I know we need to improve as a group, and every day, Coach Weiss challenges us as coaches as well as the players to get better. And, like he said, when you're 1-11, everybody needs to improve. So it's a nice compliment, but I know in our meetings, it's a little bit different.
Well, how can you get better as a group? I mean, when you have that much production from so many different players just in your group, what do you work on? What do you get better at?
You know what? I think the thing that most people see, the fans see, is they see guys running for yards and doing that, but they don't see the other things as far as missing blitz pickups, missing blocks and things like that. So it's the little things that other people don't see that we see as a staff that we need to continue to improve on.
How do you distribute with guys like Tony and Brandon and even a guy like Colin Spencer? They're kind of this new hybrid position. How do you work that out in terms of distributing carries and time even in practice between each individual unit?
Well, the good thing about having that hybrid position is I have a guy that kind of works with me, and he can kind of counsel on Charlie Jr. So he'll work with some of the guys while I'm working with the other guys. And as far as touches, it's been Coach Weiss's philosophy. He's going to go with the hot hand. So if Tony's playing really well, then he'll get the ball. If James is playing really well, he'll get some carries. And that's something that, luckily for me, I don't have to worry about. That kind of falls under the Coach Weiss, deal. That's kind of his thing, and he'll figure that out.
Touchy ground here, but how is Coach or Charlie Weiss Jr. kind of developing as a coach? Obviously, you work with him quite a bit.
You know what?
Now.
I think he's doing a great job. I think he's going to be a great coach. He has a unique ability to be able to relate with guys, and motivate him, and I think he's going to be really good.
You got you have so many guys. Obviously, James Sims is going to be the feature back, and then you got Darian Miller coming in as well. What's that mean for a guy like Taylor Cox, who's coming into his senior year? It's kind of his last hurrah. I mean, how's that affect a player like that?
Well, the thing with Taylor is Taylor changed our room last year. Taylor's tough, hard-nosed. He works really hard, and we had asked Taylor to make a red shirt, and Taylor said, "No, I want to compete." And so by him saying that, he put everybody in that room on notice and saying, "Hey, that I'm going to come in here and work every day extremely hard," and that that this position had locked up. So most people see James as being the front runner, but in the room, those guys see James as a guy they're challenging and that they want to be the starter. So for me, Taylor is just as valuable as James.
With James, what kind of things do you, obviously you got to try to balance between what's right for you guys right now and trying to prepare a guy like that who has potential to go on to the next level. What are kind of some things you do to kind of help prepare him for that role? I know it's early, but obviously that's probably got to be a balance, right?
Well, the one thing that helps is if you're playing in a pro-style offense like we are, so he's going to know all the terminology and most of the NFL teams when he get there. So now, we're working on the little things, not only with James, but with all of them, and that we want him to be a complete back. That means running the ball, faking, blocking, picking up protections, and that's something in the Coach White system that you have to be able to do. And if he can do all those things, and he doesn't have to be great at any of them, but just good at all of them, then that'll prepare him to be able to go on and play at the next level.
Last question, I wanted to ask you about Darian, who was a guy you worked with before he left, and then he came back. How is he different from when he left you and to where he is now?
You know what? He is matured. I think that when he was here before, when we didn't have the structure, or he didn't have the structure that he needed, he came in mid-year, and he probably shouldn't have come in mid-year. And, now he came in, he met with Coach Weiss this summer, and Coach Weiss didn't read him the riot act, but he said, "Hey, listen, if you do these things here, we'll be able to help you be successful." And Darian's bought into what Coach Weiss has said, and, he's been really, really good to work with, because having worked with him before and now, it's like
the Royals game.
Oh, you didn't see any of it?
I didn't see one snap. And that's why I think Coach busted me up a little bit on Twitter, saying that I'm a fair weather Royals fan. Hey, you know what? The Royals struggled in May, and I was complaining, right? Like every other Royals fan. And he thought I threw in the towel. I didn't throw in the towel. I've been a Cubs and a Royals fan forever. Right? So if you're a Cubs and a Royals fan, you've struggled many, many years, and you've seen a lot of crap. So, no, I didn't watch a snap of the game. And I think I tweeted something about it last night. Everyone makes fun of me because my tweets are so bad. But my wife called me and said, "I can turn the channel? What are you talking about?" So I tried, I can't turn the channel. But I couldn't turn the channel. It was such an exciting game to watch the Royals. I had all intention to watch the Chiefs, but I couldn't get to it.
I could listen to you talk about Royals and Chiefs for quite a while, but as far as the offensive line goes, you have so much turnover on that offensive line. Even the guys that are returning have moved around on that line. What are the positives and negatives that you guys have on this line?
Well, let's start with the negatives. We just don't have a lot of game experience. There's all new situations for the guys. Negative is that a lot of this is new for guys. As an offensive lineman, the most valuable thing for you is a rep. Reps are like cash, or like money. The more reps you have, the richer you are. So we're missing that. But on the positive side is, first of all, these guys really like each other. They are a great group to be around. They have fun. They care about each other. The second thing is that, there's some really athletic kids, and then there's some kids that have come in that have brought some toughness that we really like having up there. So, we're going to give a little bit away in experience, but we're going to gain a lot with enthusiasm and excitement, and it's a good trade-off.
Is that, like as you kind of alluded to, some of these guys come in, they just kind of, you talk to some of them, and they seem to have a bit of an attitude, a bit of a chip on their shoulder. You kind of see the ability to get mean on that field. How much does that help you as a group, having that attitude?
Yeah,
we want to win football games here. Coach Weiss did a great job getting this program where it needs to be academically, in the neighborhood here in Lawrence, everything. Work ethic in the weight room. These guys busted their butt all winter and summer. So now, they want to go win football games, and a lot of people are saying, hey, they can't win. They got a chip on their shoulder, and as well they should. They put a lot of time and effort into this, and it's time to go play.
Let me ask you about a couple guys specifically. Let's start with Aslam and kind of switching over to that left side and some of the troubles that he'll have making that transition, and maybe some of the reasons why you wanted to slide him over there.
Well, he played in junior college. He played some left tackle. He showed some flashes over there. He's probably, as of right now, one of our, if not our best pass blocker. He's done a great job with his feet and his hands and his punch. And, we feel comfortable having him on our blind side. The negative is that, he's going to be challenged every week. So, one of the things we talked about, you can't take a day off. You can't take a rep off. You got to go, and you got to go hard, and he's building to that.
As a coach, how beneficial is it to you to have a guy like Aslam who came in and rounded 400 pounds, and then he's lost all that weight, made all these transitions, just continues to meet those achievements? I mean, does that help you as a coach, kind of setting that as an example for the rest of the guys?
Absolutely. Let's talk about it. Just recently, academically, had an unbelievable semester this summer. A guy comes in, he's a burger away from 400, and now he's at 315 and moving well, and looks good and looks healthy, and he's got a lot of stamina, and he's got a pro body. So, that's great. We got to work on consistency.
What about working with a guy like Pat, was on the defense and he was on a left tackle, and now you've got to move to center? How do you work with a guy like that, being able to kind of feed him information, obviously a position you used to play, but also with him coming in with knowing different pieces around the ball? Yeah,
he's a program guy. Those are the kind of guys you have to have in a program to have success. Whatever you ask him to do, he's going to go and do it. We asked Pat to move to the offensive line. I remember calling him, and he wasn't thrilled about it, but he went ahead and did it, and he bought in. And we moved it down to center. He's like, okay, I'll go do it. So, those are the kind of guys you want in your program. He's a smart guy. He's very athletic. He's a good communicator, and he's turned into a good leader. So those are the things we need at that position.
All right, last question. What's one of the guys, maybe somebody a little deeper on the depth chart that maybe didn't come in with as much fanfare as a guy like Pierce Slater or Aslam Sterling, but a guy you expect some things from?
Well, I think that Fondal will be he's going to be a heck of a player for us. Where he fits in right now is something we're looking at, and we're going to see how it works out. And we got Slater coming in, and so we got a nice plethora of tackles that are very athletic and physical. And so I think Zach is going to really have a chance to come in here. I don't think a lot of people even remember that when he came in and said, hey, I'm going here. There wasn't as much fanfare as there is with Pierce, and maybe even with Nalu and some of those guys. But I expect him to really help out this year.